Okay, so something I've been doing for a while, trying to teach myself the way things run, was to take apart old flies. So here what we've got is an old Spey fly. It's fairly moth-eaten, you see the wings are eaten, but what we're interested in is the way that this was tied in. Now the varnish is already gone off this thing, but if you look in close here you can see there's been some sort of cross wrapping between the wings, like a figure of 8 kind of thing, to separate the wings. So that would be my first observation of this one. Now what I have to do is try and work out where the last wrap went on. And split it, and then we'll try and unravel this. Another thing we're interested in is as to whether the mallard on this was folded back on itself or not. So what we're going to do is split one of these bits of tie-in thread off, and then start to unravel it and see what we can learn from that. That's underneath that one. Very fiddly job. Now that's going under the far wing. Once, twice, 3, 4, 5 wraps there, and that, if you notice, is very thick tie-in thread. Now that there were 3 turns behind the wings, 4 turns, 5 turns of the split. I think that has been finished behind the wing. So to do that you would have had to have pulled the wing forward to whip finish it behind it, or half hitch it, or whatever they've done. There's these bits at the front. Our earlier wraps. So, question now is, were they folded back? The answer is nope. They had been tied in as we tie in normal materials and cut off. anything we can learn about that. Not overly large bunches, and it all seems to be marrying to itself, which suggests to me that it was one side of one feather. That wraps underneath. There, so this appears to be some sort of a whip in here. We learned from that is that there was a lot of half hitching going on. I suppose they were tying in hand. It's probably a way of tying it off as you were going along, so it didn't fall apart. There was some sort of figure of eighting going on to separate the two wings, but it seemed to be like there were 5 wraps one way and 5 the other. If I was a figure of 8 and something now, I'd sort of go one way or the other. I'd alternate, whereas that was 5, and to me appeared as if the wing had been pulled forward, and actually the tying silk had gone behind and had been tied off behind the wing. And I suppose that would have, in a way, made sense to have stopped your head sliding that way and getting big. And that may explain why we get the, if you look at a lot of old Spey flies, there's this gap between the actual tying of the body and the hackles, etc., and then the wing, which is what we've been sort of wondering about. So I'll probably take apart another one here and see, is there anything similar going on in that. Pop that in. Again, it's the head that we're interested in. Again, when I look at this one, you can see the you can see here the cut ends of the mallard. So this is not folded back. Again, there's multiple sort of figure of 8 wraps in there, and there's a distinct gap in behind the wings. If you look at the wings, they are separated, and they've been separated by those wraps. So again, I'm interested here to see, has that been finished behind? And yeah, if I look closely, these figure of 8 wraps are wrapped over from behind. So what I'd suggest is happening is they finish their body, they tie in their slips on top, or seems to be one solid bunch there but then separated here, so they're tying in the feather. And if I'm looking here, does this marry? That all marries to itself, so that's separate. Let me see. I take a bit of mallard. This is a, as I look at it, good side is to the left. So I'm going to see it as that. I want to stick to that. Take a couple of fibres away. Nope, that doesn't want to attach itself. It doesn't appear to want to attach itself to that either. So, go the other way. Take a few fibres off that. Now that's knitting to itself. There is a bit of a catch there, yeah. So that is the opposite side feather that I'm trying now. Question is it the same over here? And yeah, it is knitted to that too. So again, that's suggesting that they're tying in with just one feather and then splitting it. And there's that's more of the grey portion, and that's what I would say what they're doing there is they're taking one side of one feather, stripping it off, and then going like that, you know, taking the top section of it and then splitting the bottom section of it and putting it over it in two, like a double layered thing, doing this to straighten it, which is giving us what this roll here is, and then attaching the whole thing on as one bunch and splitting that. So it doesn't appear to be a matching left and right feather. And again, this thing is tied in behind. This is one that's clearly tied by somebody else because the silk and all is different. Those other two, the first one we took about is very thick tie-in threads. This one has ish as well, so it's possible that those were the same person. Again, there is a wrap between to split that, but not so many wraps as the previous, but it's definitely still splitting the wing. So split the head. Purple tie-in silk. The varnish off. Again, there is a gap, not as big as in those other ones, between the wing and rest of the plank. Now, where are our wraps going? They're very heavily glued together here. And the base of those feathers also appears to have glue in it. Half hitch going on there. This tying thread is going behind that wing, and then it broke off there, but it was, let's see where it's going. This almost appears to be something separate. Yeah, there's definitely, that's been varnished or something at that point as well. So it seems that they've tied in the wing and varnished, then created a head and varnished again. That appears to be two different types of mallard there, sort of stroked into each other, two different feathers. Right, and that's separate. This is a different tying thread underneath. So something I always suspected was that they tied bodies and hackles and then added the wings on separately at some other point, because we've moved from a sort of yellowy orangey silk here to purple to do the head on the purple. The person that put that on used a much finer silk to attach the mallard wings. So I say that will do for now. But so wings going on as an afterthought after having tied the bodies, whether that's a commercial thing or whether that is something that this is actually varnished. As I said, the other one, I also think they were putting this on as one feather, one-sided, so or I'd say one mallard feather rather than taking separate slips from each, and no folding back, because that was a query as to whether they were tying them in forward like this and folding them back on themselves in some way or another. But I didn't find any evidence of that in any of those three flies there, and I do think that they are whip finishing behind the wing, so folding it back to tie in, to whip it in behind it, and that's maybe what's given us our separation. So hopefully that's of, even though it's long-winded, it might be of some interest to some of our Spey fly enthusiasts.